Morning. Sure.
Yeti, there we go. Perfect. Okay, YouTube should have sound now. Arturus, thank you so much for pointing that out. My microphone was not set up. Now we are connected, good and running. So real quick, I'll run that down one more time. We are in a downtrend on ES. We have been creating some lower highs and lower lows since about February. I would say even January we started, because this is where we had all-time highs right at this orange level, 62.36. Made those all-time highs in the beginning of December. Since December till about mid-February, we were very range bound. It wasn't until we broke this low right here, and this was about the beginning of March, March 4th, that we really locked in that we are in a bear trend, right? So we locked in, we closed below that range, we broke lower, and then we ended up continuing lower, and we used this area of support as resistance. We moved lower from there as well. So something I'm looking for, a few things I'd like to see, right? Now, at this point in the market, I would either want to go with the trend because we're looking to trade with the trend, or if we do manage to pull back, I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be changing my bias to a long term reversal because we do have another area of resistance right here. So, something I would really keep an eye on is going to be this major key level right here, and we're going to make this a different color so it sticks out a little bit. Let's do like a teal. This is an old orb. We no longer need that. Previous day high, we're going to move over because that is no longer our previous day high. Again, some old orbs. Get rid of those. Place our opening price is right here. Now, I like keeping an eye on the open and the previous day high and low because if I see that we're below our opening price, I know we're in a bear day today, right? We have a bearish day because we're below our open price on the daily candle. Means we're looking to go lower. If we're below previous day low as well, again, looking for that trend to continue. Below previous day low, below open, we're looking for bears. And that's just one way to sort of gauge and read those key levels. Thank you, Mr. Potato Concentrator, dude. I love it. Love it. What do I call you now, Mr. Potato or Concentrator? Alright, let's take a look at the 6 hours. So now we're going to do our time frame analysis. We're going to break through to different time frames and we're going to see what, if any, demand zones do we have. So I'm seeing on the 4 hour right here that it looks like we have our basing, our impulse move, which is what we look for, but where's the follow through? The follow through is very weak. Now, something I remember is we had a very similar candle that we have here on the ES on the NASDAQ as well. So something I want to show you guys on the NASDAQ on the 4 hour time frame, and we might be through it at this point, is we had a similar demand zone. We had our basing, our impulse move, And the follow through, well, it had a pullback into this demand zone before we had follow through. So even though, yes, we had that basing at a low, push up, follow through failed. We did hold this zone, so we were able to mark it out as the low of our range, and it did try to hold as support, but now that we're trying to break below it, what I'm going to look for when market opens is break lower, and would look something like this. I'd want to see if we can maybe see how we're coming up some higher lows, lower highs, if we could break this zone and then come back and test the zone and create another lower high right here, I will look for a short position to then target either new low of day or even the next demand zone if we have one down here. So I'm going to break down some different time frames, see if we have any demand zones. First thing I see right here on the 3-hour time frame is in fact a 3-hour demand. I'm going to mark that out right here. Make it green, demand zone, 3-hour, use our trend line. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. What's up, Jack of all trades? Let's see. So something else I want to point out, guys, with this huge zone right here, also I want to, no, we'll keep that, is that this was also, if we didn't have our demand zone here to hold up as support, it also had this supply zone that worked as a demand zone afterwards, right? So check this out right here. And we're going to make this blue just so it's a bit more clear. This was a area of resistance. So when we were below it and we extended to the left, it was resistance, resistance, resistance. We broke above it, and then it became support, support, support a whole bunch of times. So now that I want to see us break below it again, I want to see us below it and retest it as resistance. So that's what I'm going to be looking for today.
Kevin, that was a basing candle there, followed by an impulse right there.
Yep. Yeah, so look, this is a really clean supply zone. So we have our basing at a high, and then we have our impulse move, very strong impulse move, pushing us far away from this candle very fast, giving traders no time to fill their positions. So it moved real fast away from it, and then it also had 2 candles of continuation immediately after. It didn't have a couple green candles and then a red candle. It went impulse move, continuation, continuation, and that's what I like to look for. So this was a strong supply zone. Now, because we broke through it with such strength, this next day, what I would look for is I'd look for that supply to hold as demand, which is exactly what it ended up doing. We ended up forming a demand zone over that supply zone. So without us breaking back below it again, I'm not going to be chasing shorts here because I know that there are going to be a lot of people trying to take these shorts, anticipating the break. And guess what? We might break out for a second here and then start to hold. So I don't even want to be taking the breakout short at the moment. But remember, things change with the market. If we could break this demand zone on ES as well, and we do look like we have steady volume coming into the market, right? We have good selling volume to continue us lower, then that's what I'll be looking for. I'll be looking for ES to continue lower with that selling pressure. Same with NQ. Now, if I am looking for shorts today, I'd probably be looking for NASDAQ shorts because tech has been selling off pretty strong lately. Now, let's see. 3 hours. Just want to make sure we're not missing anything. So this was a broken 30-minute supply zone. So we'll move that over because now we could use a new 3-hour supply right here. And again, what supply and demand does is it sort of gives us our ranges and areas of interest. So right now we have, this is a S3-hour, we're on 3-hour time frame. Now this candle, we have our basing near a high, we have our impulse move, not the strongest of impulse moves, and continuation was also bought back up. So we ended up retesting that zone, but similar situation to that 4-hour we had, right? Where it sort of pulled back, it came back into it, and then held it. We did end up supporting that zone again. So if we could come back to this supply zone, 53.49.25, 53.49.25, we could check Bookmap to see if there are any price levels up there, which there are currently not. That's very high up. That is about, let's see, that's about 80, 90 points away on the ES to the upside. So, you know, odds of us hitting that are pretty slim. But we do have to remember, we do have a gap fill right at this. We're on the 3-hour candle. So let's go to the 1 hour and find our 3 o'clock candle close, which is going to be right here. Now, this is our gap fill price. We're going to mark that off as our gap is 53.1075. We could check edge full. Now, the thing with this gap and where price is currently trading is we're looking at a 1% gap on ES. That's a huge gap. However, we have to remember the volatility we've been having. We've actually been filling these gaps even though they've been so huge. The gap right here was a 0.44%. We ended up filling that later the day. The gap right here, well, we didn't fill this one, but still over a 1% gap, and we ended up filling, let's see, we ended up filling 78% of it. So that's pretty wild. Filled over 50% of that gap. And then the next day we ended up filling it. So let's take a quick look. We have Now remember, when we look for the gaps to fill, we're looking for the gaps to fill during these white areas, not the blue areas. The blue areas are overnight session. We're looking for gaps from the white area to the next white area. Now, if we wanted, we could turn extended or electronic trading hours off and do regular trading hours. Now we can see a bit clearer of our gaps. So right now I know ES is going to be opening somewhere down here. Well, then our gap is up here, and I could look for us to move higher to possibly fill that gap. Now, also looking at this extended hours with the supply zone I had drawn out, well, it does look like a pretty good area that tried to hold as support overnight. Well, I'm sorry, this was during Wednesday during the day, and then it held as resistance during Thursday during the day. So I want to see if, again, today's Monday, we want to come back into this zone one more time, 53.49, possibly fill the gap, come into the zone, and then retest it back lower. Now, if by chance there's some type of news or markets are looking bullish or something's flipping in our direction, we might get that break higher, and we might look to use this supply zone as demand, right? We might look for a break above it and a retest, and we would look to fill maybe this next gap up here. So that's something else we could look for, right? And if we are looking at our past few days, this is last Thursday, right? So Thursday, April 10th, and now today is Monday, the 21st. This is our range. So we're sort of buying the low, selling the high. So that's what we're ready for on the ES today, guys. We got some solid plans put together. Really interested in seeing what's going on with that. Let's take a quick look at the NAS, see if anything's cooking on there. Let's see if anybody wants to see anything. Please let me know. You want to go over any specific equities, Nvidia, Tesla, Meta. Definitely let me know.
Sorry,
I do keep.
Kevin. Can you just quickly go over that ES plan really quick again? Sorry, I missed that.
For sure. So there's a couple things I was looking for. And really what I'd like to see in the morning is I'd like to see if this demand zone starts to hold that we're opening in, and we start to move towards this gap around 53.10. Now, if we could make our way towards the gap fill with a lot of strength, I would like to see 53.10 get broken and see us head towards 53.49, 53.50. Because that's where my next supply zone is, and that's where I'm actually going to be looking for some short positions. Because I do think if we are able to try to hold this demand one more time, and we look to fail, a lot of people are going to try long positions up here at the top of the range, and that's where I want to look to take my short position to target the bottom of the range, because again, I'd be looking for this demand zone to now get weaker. The first time it was in it, gave us a move to supply. Second time it was in it, it failed to rally. Third time it was in it, again, another failed rally. So I'd look for another failed rally. Now, if we find the momentum and we get into this 3-hour supply zone with a lot of strength, we might look to break it and break that previous day high and look to even break 53.80, make our way to 54.40.
Thanks, Kev.
You got it. Now, if we do break lower, because we do have to be prepared for everything, and looking at the daily time frame, it is definitely looking more bearish than bullish. What we could look for is we could look to see if we break this. Now, we'd already broke previous day low, But if we could break and hold below, I would mark out this pivot. This is like 2 days. This is Wednesday's low. And we'll mark that out as Wend low. And yeah, the human experiment on YouTube asked if we could do Tesla, and we will most certainly do some Tesla. So I'd watch this Wednesday low and see if we could keep below it with some good volume. See if we could break and target below 5206. So if we could hold below 5250, target 5206 break. And then the
Brilliant.
next,
Thanks, Kevin.
you got it. The next zone I have, guys, is 45-minute supply down here on ES. Check this out. This was a supply zone. Worked as supply. We broke it with strength. So, guys, what did we go over earlier? We went over earlier that when we break supply, I like to see it hold as demand. The supply broke, but it didn't retest it yet. So that's why I would sort of lean bearish today, just for now, because I would want to see us continue lower and break even this pivot low here and come back into this demand, broken supply zone that I have to get the imbalance that we have down there. Let's take a quick look at Tesla now. See some key levels, some pre-market levels, and some ranges. Take a quick look at the daily on Tesla, and the first thing I see is we had this gap from earnings. We ended up rebalancing it after we had our major run up to all-time highs near 500. Didn't make it to 500, about 487. We retested it, came back into it. Right now on Tesla, it's a bit of a tougher read because on the current trend, we are within this range. So if we're looking at this blue zone and this blue zone, we have our low of our Tesla range down here around 224. And then we have the high of our range around 287. Now, we see that price is starting to get tighter, and what I mean by that is we're starting to create some lower highs. So we see that we're creating lower highs over here. Lower high, lower high, lower high. But those lower highs were coming after strong green days were relative in the market. And every time we come into these lows, buyers step in. Come into these lows, buyers step in. Into these lows, buyers tried. This is the one-day sellers stepped in at these lows, but they couldn't hold it lower, right? Markets ended up moving back higher towards that 270 key level. So right now, at these lows on Tesla, I'd really be looking more for buyers. Now, something I do know is we see our pre-market, we're opening at 231, round 231. So we're going to open with a gap down. So it's really going to be interesting. I'm going to mark out the opening price on Tesla and just sort of gauge it. Now, if Tesla gets good buying volume down here, that might help me on my long bias on ES and NQ because they might look to rally along with Tesla. Now, we could also look at other equities like Meta or Apple and look to see if we could find other bottoms of ranges or tops of ranges to sort of gauge the direction or overall trend of the market. Are all equities looking to reverse at some point? Are they all at the bottom of their ranges? Or is it just Tesla right now? Because a lot of times Tesla will also inverse the rest. So we do have to be a little careful. It could trend on its own. It does not need the NASDAQ with it. And NASDAQ does not need Tesla with it. They just help each other when those trends arrive. So let's check we were on the daily. Now, because we're looking at equities, we're not really going to find anything on the 3 hour. So we're going to start with a 2 hour just to sort of gauge it like we usually do, right? Look to see we're creating some lower highs, creating some higher lows. I don't really see any demand zones on the 2 hour, so I'll check the 1 hour. And on the 1 hour, I do see we have a demand zone right here on Tesla. And this is right where we're starting to open at. So because I found this demand zone on Tesla, yo, good morning, Kevin from Florida. What's poppin', my man? So we got a demand 1 hour on Tesla right here. This is huge. Because now, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out the other equities too. And when we find these demand zones and supply zones on equities, we're able to gauge equity strength in relation to these zones, to gauge the relation to ES and NQ to their zones as well, right? So this adds confirmation towards our trend and our trades. So we're opening in this demand zone, so I would ideally look for us to hold this demand zone. Now, if we fail this demand zone, what I would look for is I'd look for us to maybe break below 224 and then retest demand and look for some puts in demand to target that next 217 level, right? Sort of trading the bottom of the range. But we do want to be a little careful on that because remember, guys, on the lower time frame right here, the hourly, looks like we're creating these lower highs and we are trying, but the daily time frame tells us we're at the bottom of our range. And when we're at the bottom of our range, we sort of want to look for long positions or calls because we don't want to be shorting the lows and buying the highs. Let's take a quick look at like Microsoft or something. I feel like Microsoft and Apple are probably the top two to watch equity-wise for direction in the market. And look at this. NASDAQ had this massive demand zone that worked so fantastic for long-term long positions for over here for about a swing trade of almost 2 months. 11% return, $46 move. Obviously, if you were in something like calls, you would get a bigger return on investment on something like this versus just having the stock itself. Now, Microsoft had this supply zone right here. And we're going to mark that out as our red zone. That's our supply on the daily. Now, I'm looking for any demand zones. I don't see any demand zones down here on the daily time frame. So like we did before, mark it down to the 2 hour. Now, I see something on the 2 hour demand right here around 355.91. Now, again, guys, what this is doing is this is giving me an idea of the lows of the range where I could look for buyers to step in and the highs of the range where the sellers should step in. So right now, 355, that's about $9 away on Microsoft. I could sort of expect Microsoft to move lower at this point. Yo, you got it. You got it, my man. No problem. Let's see. So 30-minute, we have the same zone there on the 2 hour. 15-minute, I'm not really seeing too much. Something I like to do when marking out previous days ranges and zones, guys, if I don't see a supply or demand zone, is I'll look on the 15-minute and I'll look to see where there were some areas of consolidation or where we rejected. So it looks like this point right here, there was a 15-minute basing. We're going to mark that out as our supply. And we came into that a whole bunch of times, and each time we did, sellers stepped in. So this is a pretty good spot where sellers were active in the market on Microsoft. So now that's my range. If I was looking to trade the range, I would either wait for us to come to the highs and short the 370s on Microsoft, or wait for us to move lower and see if we could find some longs near that 355s. I'll check Apple, see if Apple's giving us anything. Apple had a crazy pullback from its all-time highs, like 260s all the way back down to the 170s, which is wild. Apple below 180s is a great place to buy, in my opinion. Not financial advice. All right, let's see. So looking at, this is the 6 hour. We don't want that. We're looking at the daily right now, and we see the low of our range, the high of our range. And we also see this was the low of our other range, right? So look at this. This was a low, 213s, and then we broke below it, and we used that as our high. So now, again, not a supply or demand zone, but we can mark it out as our area of interest. Maybe use a blue zone, extend it to the left so we could see how price reacted to it in the past. And now we have our support and resistance. When we find support and resistance that lines up with supply and demand or key levels, these are the zones that add extra confluence and extra strength for us to really keep an eye on so we could find levels to watch instead of trying to force a level to watch. Alright, so this is the daily. Let's mark it down to the 2 hour. And Apple, look at this. Apple had a 2 hour demand down here too, similar to Microsoft, 188.86. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that on Apple. 188.96, I apologize. See if Apple comes into it. Right now, we are opening around 191.89, so I do think we could sell off those $3 to maybe rebound and push higher. Yo, what's going on, Frank? Good morning, and good morning. Yo, you got it, my guy. Absolutely. My pleasure. Looking at this 1 hour demand down here, but this is it looks like it's a 3:30 candle, right? So that means even though it's a 1 hour time frame, it's only a 30-minute time frame because this is 3:30 And then the next candle is the 9:30 candle, right? Because the markets close at 4 p.m. Eastern. So if I go to the 30-minute right here, it's going to give me the same candle. So we're just going to mark that out as a 30-minute demand zone, just so we have our levels and zones to watch. Now, guys, what's great with supply and demand, too, is when we do start to hold these zones, that's when we're creating those higher lows or lower highs, depending on the trend. The 30-minute. So, like, if we were holding demand zones, what we'd be seeing is we'd be seeing demand zone formed. We broke this high right here, which we did. We pulled back, and we held this demand zone again. That would be creating higher lows. And that would look something like this. Higher low, we hold this demand zone again, we create another higher low. Now if we break this demand zone, that will be breaking this higher low, and that's creating a lower low off of this swing low, and that would sort of help us with, again, a bit of a bear trend. Now I do see Apple tried to push through this gap right here, but as we know, when it comes to gaps on equities, a lot of times we'll push into them, and instead of filling the gap right away, we'll push into it and find some resistance, right? Because a lot of retail traders, they trade, the way they trade is they'll look for this gap fill right here, and they'll mark out this whole big range, and they'll see this whole gap fill range, and they'll say, okay, well, once we break above 207.26, I want to see us fill the gap to 223. We're going to have a huge trade that day. What happens? Apple opened in the gap. They were feeling bullish. They were feeling long. They go long. They get stopped out right away, and we actually reverse and go back lower. They were in the opposite direction, the wrong position. So that's how we have to use these gaps when it comes to equities. Use them as resistance levels or support levels if they're below us, instead of looking for us to fill that gap entirely. Now, yes, you know, the whole saying of all gaps end up filling is mostly true when it comes to the market. Because we're range bound 80% of the time, those gaps usually are at pivots or highs or lows, or not at major highs and lows, because they're gaps and able to be filled. So again, look for these areas to work as a supply zone instead of a fill zone, right? So what I would then see is I'd say, okay, well, now I know something similar. Those people that tried to go long up here filling this gap got stopped out. Well, now they're instead of fixing their game plan, they're fixing their gap to say, okay, well, now my gap fill on Apple, we have 112 to 223. That's a much easier gap fill. That's more reasonable. I'd be looking for the opposite trade here. I'd look for 212, 213 to break, and then maybe reject around 215 and push lower and reverse lower again here. So where people are looking to go long to fill the gap, I'm looking at as this is a resistance level. This is an area of imbalance. Gaps are formed, and when gaps are formed, these gap areas have unfilled orders because price wasn't able to trade within that range. Therefore, any passive orders or orders that were sitting there were not able to get filled. So if there were a bunch of sellers sitting in this gap up here and we enter price, instead of going long, sell with the sellers, right? Let's go back lower. So that's just one strategy I like to use on equities. When I did trade equities, I trade more futures now. But Apple, equities, large cap, those are awesome, man. Tesla, and Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, love it.
High, low, off to the charts we go.
You know it. Let's see. Let's run some NASDAQ, see if we got anything on there. Now, NAS was giving us a similar setup as ES, right? We had that failed demand zone. It held a little bit. We also had that broken supply that's also trying to hold. So, again, I'd be looking a bit more weak on the NASDAQ. If I was looking for sellers today, I'm looking to short NQ maybe below 18,000, a target 17,800, quick 200 points right there. Remember, guys, the volatility, the ADR we've been seeing lately has been huge. We've been getting some massive moves. Yo, what's going on, Fairchild? Good morning, good morning. Awesome, man. Cool. Alright, let's see. So, NQ, really not seeing much until about 17,448. 17,448. Let's see. 3 hour. 1 hour. Nope. Gonna mark that as a 2 hour then. All right, so that's sort of where I'd be targeting. So this is when I say, guys, when I like to sort of trade the charts and look at what I'm trading. So the NASDAQ doesn't really have much support other than the support we have here until like 1800. It doesn't have much support until 17448, which from this point is about over 600 points away. So that'd be a massive move on NASDAQ to the downside. Now, for us to have that move on NASDAQ to the downside, we'd also need ES to also be breaking some lows as well. Now, ES has support around 51, we'll say 5140. So let's say we move lower on ES. ES could find the support while NASDAQ's in free fall. So ES, this move would really only be about, let's see, 100 points, which is still massive on the ES. But 600 points is much more massive on the NASDAQ, right? So if I was looking for shorts, NASDAQ has more relative weakness. If I was looking for some longs, I'd probably be looking for ES. So we're going to be keeping an eye on our weighted index, which is right down here. That's a chart of a combination of stocks. Apple, Amazon, Meta, AVGO, Tesla. No, I got rid of Tesla. Amazon, Meta, AVGO, Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft. And then we have the VIX in the bottom left as well. Let's take a quick stab at gold, which is just skyrocketing, guys. Skyrocketing. Beautiful. Oh my god. All-time highs right now on gold. I posted a video.
I think gold is overextended, though. I mean, it is.
Weren't you saying that
way-
yesterday? Or Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at like the RSI on the daily and stuff like that, and it's just pegged all the way up in the red. Not to say it can't continue; it could still continue going. I just don't know if I'd put any long-term holdings in it now.
No, you don't buy all-time highs and hold for long-term investments. No, but you also wouldn't fight a trend like this, right? This is a very strong bull trend, got a lot of momentum behind it. So we'd really only look for maybe buying the pullbacks when it comes to gold right now. Gold above 3,400. I just reported gold above 3,300 just this past like Friday. I was like, wow, we broke 3,300. Now we're above 3,400. Next stop 3,500 is very close, guys. 70 points away. Definitely possible. Definitely possible. That's crazy. Gold possible 4,000 target if larger markets like the ES and NQ continue bearish, guys. Remember, guys, gold is where investors look to place their money during uncertain times in the market, and that is what gold is proving itself to do over the past few months. Look at this rally. Absolutely insanity. 26% on gold, 720 points from 2,600 to 3,400. And again, still making all-time highs as we speak. Right now, it's been rallying. Take a look at gold on Bookmap. I do apologize for keeping Edgeful up there. I didn't even realize. So we don't really have any passive targets to the upside on gold that would suggest that we definitely have a target up here. But we do have good buying momentum. Let's take a look at these old price levels as well. Low volume shelf right here sitting at 34.1880. 34.1880, which is like right down here. 1880. Look at that, right at that fair value gap. So this is what I'm looking for right here, this zone right here, if we can manage to come back to it on gold. Right now, all-time highs. We do not go long at all-time highs, but we do not try to short all-time highs. So we'll wait and see if we pull back. There are fib tool up here too. Great. So this fair value gap, that low volume shelf, lines up within our optimal trade entry. That's Bookmap. Sophos, I do apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. That is Bookmap. Bookmap is a order flow tool, so it sort of shows like level 2, time and sale. It visually shows that on the Bookmap. So right now we're looking at gold, and it shows it by displaying volume bubbles. So the red bubbles are sell bubbles, green bubbles are buy bubbles. Now on the bottom it has the CVD as well. That's the cumulative volume delta. So that measures the current session's volume delta. So if we're bullish and there's more bullish volume, it'll be green, it'll be above the 0 mark. If we're bearish, it'll be red and below the 0 mark like we see over here. It shows we have our session volume delta and our session volume profile. So our session volume profile, that shows me where the most volume's being transacted or traded during this session. And I like to look for the areas that we have a low volume shelf. That's where I like to look to see if we could pull back to rebalance the market and gain some more volume before we continue back higher. Now I like to use the session volume delta is the same information as this right here, except I have the delta turned on. So instead of it showing me the total volume, it tells me if we had a positive or negative delta at that point. So I see that there was pretty good positive deltas down here, but there was a pretty aggressive look at that, 627 and 224 negative deltas. Yeah, you see that right there, 627, 224. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Remember, I just marked out this 3418 area to see if we could pull back. Yo, you got it. If you want, I have, let's see. I'll pull up, I have a playlist full of YouTube videos on what is Bookmap. I'll send the link to that right now for you. Alright. Yo, you got it. And guys, YouTube, I'm going to share that link in the comments as well. This is the link to the Bookmap playlist. If you guys want to learn what Bookmap is, how to use it, click that link. It's going to bring you to a ton of great videos. Show you guys how to use Bookmap platform for beginners, some shorts on how to use Bookmap, order flow tips, sweeps indicator, market pulse indicator, icebergs indicator, drawing tools, basics, whole bunch, Bookmap and fair value gaps, sort of like what I just showed before, time slices as well. Really try to break Bookmap down for you guys. Looking like we're pulling back. I have my alert set down there. Let's take a look at gold now. I'm sorry, oil. Guys, oil, remember, I was saying I wanted to see this daily demand zone, which was a major support zone for a long time on the daily as resistance. And that's exactly what we're getting so far. We just rejected it. We're pushing lower already. Looking like it wants to continue. This might be where crude finds its lower high and continues its downtrend. Now, something I like to do, guys, and I only mention this because I do see some new faces in here, is I like to do a little time frame analysis. So what I'll do is I'll look at the current candles we're trading, and I'll go through all the different time frames we have, especially the higher time frames, because what I want to see is if a potential supply or demand zone are forming here or have formed recently. So we could start with like the 4-hour time frame. And right away, I see the 4-hour would sort of be keeping me bearish. But I also see we had a 4-hour demand zone right here. So something I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this out as a demand even though we broke it. And that's going to actually be my new supply zone. Because this supply zone right here, although yes, it worked pretty well, I'm going to mark it as an area of interest. I'm going to delete the supply level itself because I no longer need that. This is no longer our open price. I believe our open price is up here. And let's see. So now I'd look for this demand zones on the 4-hour. I'd look for us to close back below it and see if we create some type of possible, maybe we create a fair value gap or something that lines up with that broken demand zone. Remember, guys, we're looking at the broken demand now. We're not looking at this blue zone anymore. The blue zone will lighten up just so we don't see it as clearly. So it's sort of hidden in the back. And the green one, we could do the opposite, right? We can make it a bit darker so we focus on that one more. Now, back to the time frame analysis, what I would look for is, let's say we have 15 minutes left for the 30 to close, right? And on crude oil right now, it looks like we're reversing. But because we have 15 minutes left for this 30 to close, guess what, guys? That means we have plenty of time for oil, and we'll put oil up on Bookmap right here. Plenty of time for oil to find sellers and close down here on the 30-minute, right? Getting in up here just because we have a wick right now, if we were getting in this position based off of our time frame analysis, means we have to enter based off of the close. We cannot get in this trade yet. We still have way too much time. This can move lower. Now, if we looked at the 15-minute, check this out. 15-minute just closed with the long lower wick. So now we could sort of keep an eye on this. At this point, because the 15 is basing like that, we could mark this out. But this isn't an order block or a demand zone yet. This could only be an order block or a demand zone if we have our basing candle here, and then this candle that started green continues higher. And it would really need to continue higher. We need to see it maybe break this pivot high right here and close above it. Once we get that, we could look to see if we could retest this zone for a long position. So we could look to see if we come up, come back down, break it again, create a bit of a higher high based off of this high, a higher low based off of that low, retest, create another higher low, and then target this next pivot high we have right here. Because check this out now. Now we have two pivot highs we could be using as areas of liquidity. But this trade, this setup will only hit if this current 15-minute candle continues and breaks this high and closes up here. So right now, as traders, we're not predicting. I'm not trying to get in right now, thinking that will continue and I don't want to miss my entry. I'm letting the market develop and come to me. And that's exactly what we want to be doing as traders. We don't want to be forcing anything. We don't want to be trying to control anything. We don't have control over anything in the market. We can just react. All right. So let's see. It is currently 9:17. Market opens in about 13 minutes. Potential setup here on crude. We'll add an alert there so we don't miss out on anything if it starts moving. Take a look at gold. Gold is also pulling back now. Where's ES? There it is. Say that's weird. Alright, so I want to keep an eye on gold here because this is a pretty nice pullback we've got going. Possible long entry on gold right here. Possible. Yo, welcome everybody. What's going on? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Market opens in T-minus 12 minutes. 12 minutes till we got market open, everybody. Hit that like button if you're here on YouTube. Let me know what you're trading and if you're trading and if you've taken any trades. Right now, markets are sort of flat at the moment. It is still pre-market. Let's take another quick dive at equities while we wait for market to open. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA was able to make its way back within its range. But the question is, do we want to fail this range again? And look at that, below 100. NQ Frank wants to see NQ. I got you, man. For sure, for sure. Put some equities back up there. Keep an eye on them still. So NASDAQ's a bit of a tougher read right here. It's definitely weaker than the ES. And the reason I say that, we'll see if we could pull it out a little bit. That's what she said. The reason I say that is because the momentum has been a lot weaker. And if we're looking at ES versus NQ, ES is on the left-hand side over here. NQ is on the right. If we look at a higher time frame, I really don't have much support on NASDAQ. If we break the support we're in right now, I don't have support on NASDAQ until 17,440. And that would call for over a 600 point drop. Now, guys, that sounds like a lot. but we have to remember the ATR and the moves we've been getting in the market lately. We've been getting some massive daily candles, massive moves, massive ranges, 700 points here, 600 here, 400 there. It wouldn't be unheard of. Now, I would look to short NQ there. I wouldn't look to short ES. I feel like NASDAQ could possibly be a lot weaker. Now, if I take a look at equities, what do we always look for, guys? We look to see if we're below previous day lows on equities. Right now, Meta opening below previous day low. Microsoft opening below previous day low. Apple below previous day low. Tesla below previous day low. Nvidia, Amazon, all of them are opening below previous day lows. I'm going to be looking for possible short entries on the NASDAQ today. This is a possible long entry here on gold. So NASDAQ, I'd be looking for a possible short entry, maybe around this point up here. We see this was an area of support for a little bit. We could drag it out to there. It's an area of support. We broke it. Where is this demand zone? It's a massive 4-hour demand zone. And it hasn't broken yet. It still hasn't. It's still a few points away from breaking. So technically, you know, can't be looking for shorts anticipating the break. We are still holding demand. But obviously sellers have momentum. We're trying to make some lows. 30-minute, I'm looking to see. Okay, here we go. So here's the 30-minute supply right here on NASDAQ. Now remember, guys, I was more bullish on the ES. So right now it's a bit more of a 50-50. But if I'm taking shorts, sellers step in, we're going to be shorting the NASDAQ. If buyers step in and try to hold us and we try to hold higher, I'm going to be looking for longs on ES. Relative strength is very important. Alright, so let's mark this out. This is our 30-minute supply on the NASDAQ. And I do want to try to clean up some of these zones over here. Like this broken supply zone, I feel like we no longer need it. My only thought would be to turn it to an AOI and lighten it up. That way we at least have the border of it. So if we have the border of it, we'll know, you know, where that support sort of ends. And that still is around that 17,900 level. So if we start to give up, we start to truly sell off, we're going to see a break below that 17,900. Target those 2024 lows around 17,576. Demand around 17,446. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well today. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend, a good holiday if you celebrate. Netflix Piper Sandler raises target price to $11.50 from $11.00 after the streaming giant posted a strong first quarter result and gave a solid guidance for the next quarter. That's awesome. Love to see consistency with companies like that, like strong guidance for the next quarter. Like, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear, we'll see how next quarter goes. No, give me some guidance, give me some proper direction. Nvidia is also a huge giant when it comes to, you know, preparing for the next quarter and such. Truly in a crazy age of trading and technology, really, with AI and everything. Do you guys use AI in your life, in your everyday? Has it made your life easier, harder, better, or worse? So we're looking at this on oil. See if oil wants to continue. We're not jumping the gun. Waiting on gold.
Well, sometimes I get lonely, and AI is there to talk to me.
There you go. That'll work. You can tell it who you want it to be and everything. Make the perfect companion. I like 34.18 still on gold for possible longs. Right now, guys, look, we're moving into areas of lower volume, and we're finding volume and pulling back. So it's not as easy as just go short up here, and we should fill all of this. Could possibly move lower, right? I'm looking for us to move lower because I want this long entry. But that doesn't mean I want to take a short position here, because I don't know if we're going to just drop right now to my entry. I don't know if we're going to wick back a little bit first. So we're just going to wait on this and see if we move back in here. We do have some selling pressure. We do have low volume till that 34.18. So this could possibly be a good short position. But we'll just wait and see. It's got low volume around 34.26 too. And because it's got all of these low volume areas, I'd really just want to wait. I want to see this zone right here. This is below that 50%. This one's above the 50%. There we go. Nice. Nice. Huge pullback right there on gold, guys. Now look, if I was looking to go long in this fair value gap, I would not take this because this 5-minute closed very bearish. I'd look for us to close above it, or I'd look for us to wick back higher. But this is a bearish close. We wouldn't look for a bullish reversal without the bullish candle reversal giving us confirmation first. And check this out. Crude oil, a 15-minute time frame. We have 4 minutes left. It's still range bound. It hasn't given us that break of the high, so we can't look for this order block to retest. We could look on the 30-minute time frame and see that the 30 still hasn't closed, and that could possibly give us that close and break higher and retest. So we'll be patient. Market opens in about 4 minutes, guys. Finally going to get somewhere. Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are ready for an amazing market day. Looking for gold to continue lower. I do want to see, we can use our footprint chart too. See what's cracking. Stacked levels on, perfect. I don't see any stacked levels down here, but that's alright. See some lower volume over here, which is good. So again, I'd look for gold to pull back to 34.1880. We could check the volume on these candles right here and look at this red delta, red delta, red delta. Even this candle, this was a strong green candle, delta ran red, right? We ran out of momentum, then we started reversing here, still red delta, went lower, stronger red delta. So we are pulling back here on gold, guys. Take a look at oil. Look at that oil with a little bit of a flip last second there. 3 minutes left. This is why we wait for those candles to close, because it was looking like it was failing just a second ago, and now it's looking like it's holding. Alright, guys, let's see. Give me half a second, guys.
All right, to the moon. Morning, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yo, good morning, good morning.
Two minutes.
2 minutes till market opens. Market is opening shortly, ladies and gentlemen.
ES is currently sitting on its intraday VPOC. VWAP is overhead. ES on the, let's see, I'm on the 5-minute, is chopping around its 50 moving average on the 5-minute. Let's bring that down to 1 minute.
Nice, nice. There we go. Some buyers. Oil. Thank you, sir. Yeah, look at this, guys. Oil trying to break that. $38 seconds left. Would need oil to break this high right here. 30 seconds left. Oil to break that high or at least close somewhere up here. Right now, look at this passive level right here. 62.60 on oil. 15 seconds left. Let's see if buyers step in and we get a pop right here for the last 15 seconds. 10, 9, and market opens too, guys. ESNQ opening. Be careful that we don't get a rally when market opens. We didn't get the close I wanted on crude oil, so I'd look to see if we could break this high before even considering this zone. There's that break higher on market open. Here's our 30-minute. 45, 90, 1 hour. Not seeing too much suggesting a reversal, so we'll be patient and just sort of wait here. ES.
You were looking for a strong break on crude, or was it ES? Yes, it was. Sorry.
Well, you know what it is? I was looking for a strong break of crude above 62.57 to confirm a bull move, and we haven't gotten it yet. So I'm still waiting on crude. I'm still waiting on gold. And ES and NQ haven't really formed a proper setup like crude and gold have yet. So I'm just sort of waiting to see how this market wants to open right here and how we react. Good morning, traders. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend and a good Easter if you celebrate. Let's take a look at ES right here, guys. Weaker buying up here. But we want to be careful. We have some negative deltas down here. If we could push back below 55, right? This 55 level, we might dump. But look at that, point of control and a large buy bubble just stepped in. Let's be a little patient. CVD did just spike higher. Now we saw on Friday CVD was pushing higher while price was moving lower. So we'll be a little patient and wait for that. But look at that. Equities, I like that NASDAQ's holding. This might be an okay spot for an ES long if this 5 wants to continue right here. Just got to be a little careful. A little careful, guys. I'm not taking this trade yet. I still haven't seen an A+ setup hit the market yet. Gold, we were waiting for this fair value gap down here in volume imbalance. Crude oil, we were waiting for it to break this 62.57 and then retest this blue zone. Right now, we have not broken that, so we're still just range bound. And ESNQ, still just range bound as well. NAS was feeling a bit more bearish, but we'll just be patient here and see how market wants to close on this 5-minute candle. Look at that strong hold towards the lows around 52.50 here on ES. And that's the low of this volume shelf right here too. So let's just be patient, wait to see how market reacts. See if we dump into this 62.48, this strong passive buyer down here, and see if we try to hold that. That could be possible for a long entry around 48 with the stop loss around 46. Quick take profit, maybe 7-8 points. Good little 3-1, 4-1 on that. But it'll depend, right? It depends on how market wants to hold here. If we dump right through with strength and momentum, we're not going anywhere. Good volume starting to come in here, but we got to be patient, guys. We're still below VWAP. NASDAQ looking stronger at the moment. VIX trying to move higher. Really finding support down here on ES. Good morning, everybody. Be careful, guys. I want to see how ES reacts to this passive buyer down here. If we could dump into that 48 level. Low volume. Look at this volume shelf right here. From this 1446 to 1,000. So 52.49 to about 52.57. So if we could get some long positions down here near the bottom of this range, right down here, and we could possibly flip, then this could be a nice little trade right there. But if we have selling momentum and we do continue lower, then we could just continue lower, obviously. But I wanted to see this low volume shelf if we're able to push back within that range. So I'd put my entry around 52.49.50. So 52.50 is a pretty good entry. Because again, we need to trigger this entry needs to get triggered by buyers stepping in and continuing. Right now, sellers are stepping in.
Hey, Kevin, do you see a divergence between ES and NQ?
Yeah, yep. So look at that right there. That would trigger a long position on ES to see if we could trade it back to the top of the range. And that's because of the divergence on ES and NQ. NASDAQ's much stronger, which makes me think ES might want to find that strength higher too. But, ooh, look at that, man. ES is definitely much weaker at the moment. No doubt ES is weaker. But look at that. Weighted index looks like it wants to continue higher. ES trying to hold the bottom of its range down here, but still struggling pretty well. Look at that, massive. Oops. Yeah, I'd really just wait for the market to sort of develop. Give it like 15 minutes of this market open, especially because NASDAQ's looking like it wants to continue higher. ES is looking like it wants to continue lower. We just got to be patient and let the market sort of present a better setup. Crude didn't give us anything. Oh, gold. Gold did. Gold hit our entry. But we got to see, because that is some selling pressure right there. I like that, though, on gold. I might take that on gold. Alright, let's see. Yeah, I'm liking gold down here, guys, on that low volume off of this level. Gotta watch how that 15 wants to close. Be a little careful on it. But each time we retest that level, look at that, find buyers. This might be it. I like that on gold, man. Especially because we're above previous day high. We're making all-time highs today. We're just trading that trend on gold. Nice. Look at that. 247 though, so obviously don't go long up here. Go long up here, 247 left in the 5 minute. If this dumps on you and you go long up here, look at that, you're destroying your risk to reward. Get in where you want your entry to be, right? 6 to 1 risk to reward versus chasing it, and you get not even a 3 to 1 risk to reward. Even down here, if you end up getting a bad fill, and you get a 5.2 or a 5 to 1, those are still good risks to reward, but less than 3, let's try to keep it a little above 3 if we can. We would need to see these buyers continue here on gold. Ooh, just like that. Damn, son. Nice. Let's see. Yo, that was clean, man. Check it out. I sent this earlier. 928. Crazy. Potential long on gold. Bang. We'll see. We'll see if we want to continue higher here. ES and NQ, big dump there. Look at that. Huge. Look at this climb here on gold, guys. Oh my god, beautiful. 15-minute closes in 6 minutes. Gotta be careful of that 30 right there. So if anything, if I wasn't along, I'd probably look to scale out of 1 right here. Guys, give me half a second. I just gotta grab this. Yo, what's up, Brandon? What's up? Give me 1 second. I'm just getting a call. Hello? Alrighty, we are back and rocking and rolling, and gold is just rocking and soaring, man. Damn. That was perfectly called out. Let's see. ESNQ still range bound. Looking for NQ. So, guys, check it out. NASDAQ did break that demand low of that 18067. And instead of continuing, we had a quick pullback, right? People trying to take these breakdowns out of pivot levels. They end up getting trapped in the market. They end up getting stopped out. So don't end up trying to take breakouts or breakdowns. Be patient on it, guys. Wait for those retests. Wait for some type of entry point. This gold trade, we were patient. We waited. I didn't take it yet. Probably won't end up taking it. But we saw it. It was in our pre-market plan. And it was an A+ setup. Gold was at all-time highs. We were above previous day high. We were holding a area of low volume. Huge trade right there. And it had an optimal trade entry, which is the Fibonacci. So this was just phenomenal all around. Yes, and NQ very range bound. Crude oil has not given us that trade either. So it really would have just been gold today. And guys, check it out. Gold, if we took profit here, 4-to-1 risk to reward. We're waiting for this take profit up here, still waiting for that almost 6-to-1. So it's not so much of, oh, trade the same thing every day. It is important to trade the same thing, especially if you're new or you want to get a feel for the market. But once you start developing a system and you're able to look at other markets, it's good because it gives you other market conditions to trade, right? When ES and NQ are range bound and I see that neither of them are at a major level of support or resistance, and I'm expecting range-bound price action, I could look to see, okay, is oil above previous day high or low or continuing in any direction? Is gold above previous day high or low or continuing in any direction? Where is the market currently trading and what is currently trending? Gold trending a lot stronger than oil. Oil's pulling back very strong right now. ES and NQ, they're pulling back. They're bearish right now on the daily, but on the lower time frame, it looks like we keep trying to find support. So because of all this uncertainty in the market, all the tariff situation still, part of me says hasn't settled yet, because we had the tariff news of, oh, we're going to pause tariff. So first off, tariffs started on the 9th, right? Or they instated on the 8th, and then he paused them on the 9th, a 90-day pause on the 9th, and the market rallied, and everybody was like, oh, see, we're bullish again. We're in a bull market because of one green day for some reason. And now we're right back to where we started. I do believe we're going to continue back to the base of this rally. I think everybody that profited off of this, unless they took profits up here, they're going to lose their profits. That's just what the market likes to do. Look at gold, continuing on that. Beautiful. ESNQ again, bearish on the daily. Lower time frame could possibly be finding support. Not a fan of that current price action. Oh, that's cool. Check that out. I didn't know you could do that with Bookmap. So these are the this is the absorption indicator, these green and purple levels. If you click it and hold it, you could drag out how far away they are. So if you want it right on top of the bubble, great, right on the price level, awesome. If you want it a bit higher and pointing to it so it's not on your bubbles, you could do that too. But that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that. Woo! Damn, gold continuing higher. Gold has price targets, guys, of 34, 35, 34, 37. Gold looking beautiful on these longs, man. That was amazing, amazing entry. Call out entry, at least. Missed it. So, guys, check this out, too. Crude oil. Our 15-minute basing, our impulse move, we did not break that high, therefore we did not get that entry. Therefore, we don't care about that basing. 30-minute, looks like an hangman candle. 45, hourly. Nothing really looking good. So if anything, I would wait for the hourly to close on crude and see if it could close as a bit of a red basing, right? So see if we could close somewhere up here on oil. Long wick on the bottom, small red body. Look for us to continue higher. Now, we haven't, let's see, previous day high and low. Obviously, we had a contract to roll over on oil, so that's going to move all of our drawings too. That's always so much fun. Previous day low on oil is 61.96, so I would sort of maybe even be careful to see if we want to take out this internal low here, even this internal low right here, and then reverse before the previous day low. If we could get that, then that would be pretty good positioning for long positions to continue. If we break previous day low, then there is a better chance that we want to close red and then reject off of this broken demand zone that I've been eyeing for a potential swing trade on crude oil shorts. Know what my life would be in the ghetto. Gold, spot volume up, nice. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you all had a great holiday if you celebrate. Spent some time with the family. Took some nice pictures, made some nice memories. Looking to see if crude could end up pushing lower here, guys. Remember, targeting these lows to the downside, 62.07 and whatnot. Check out gold continuing higher. Had price levels of 34.37 for targets on Bookmap. And this thing's just flying right now, guys. Beautiful. Wow. That's crazy, man. Love to see it, guys. YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button. Hit that follow button. Subscribe, whatever YouTube wants to call it. Damn. Coming into this is low volume up here, so be careful up here. Obviously, we wouldn't look to go long up here, right? We buy the lows, sell the highs. So if anything, this would be take profit 1 up here, right there. TP1 and TP2. We gonna blow right through the TP2? I think so. I think gold makes a run at these all-time highs right here. Damn, you look at this gold flying right here on Bookmap. Major. That would have been a wild quick trade. No drawdown trade on that. Look at that. Gold is up 100 points right now in this trading session. They're almost. Attack. Yes, NQ again, trying to break. Look at this, guys. NASDAQ again made a new low a day just for it to pull back and trap anybody that tried to take those shorts. But now I do think we want to continue lower below previous day low on NASDAQ. We just got to wait, guys. Poor price action. It is Monday. We got to remember it's Monday. Well, gold hit the first 34, 35 level. Major. And again, just wild of a trade if we took it. I wonder if it had a 15-minute. It did not have a 15-minute fair value gap there. Just had a 5-minute. Had a 1-minute on it, so. Dude, that was clean, man. Yes, NQ still sort of range bound. I like this rejection right here on NAS to go lower. Here we go, gold. Gold wants it. 34.37. Come on now. Struggling. That's why we don't go long up here. You try chasing longs, guys. It's going to end up stomping you out 50 times. Not worth it. Let's check the 15-minute time frame on ES and NQ. Because right now we have our 15-minute orb. So if we wanted to use it, we could do our orb high. Right here. And our orb low right here. Same with NQ. Now we have our orb high. Our orb low. something I sort of note on the ES and NQ is that we took this high out and reversed, we took this low out and reversed, we took this low out and reversed, took this high out and reversed. So yes, we're definitely looking more bearish right now, and I was leaning bearish on the daily bias. But right now, we could possibly hold these lows, trap some people trying to sell these lows, and reverse back higher to at least hit this orb high, and then reverse back lower again. We do have VWAP down here. Take a look at ES on footprint. We do have a little bit of support, but we also have some good negative delta down here as well.
Well, I'm a little short on my daily goal, but I am in good green position, so I'm going to switch to paper at this point.
There you go. Nice, man. Nice. Random, you take any trades today?
No, not today. I was off for the weekend, like 3-day weekend, so
Nice. Got to ease back into it.
yeah. I'm just I haven't even paper traded yet. I'm just gonna watch the market in the beginning and get back into it.
Got you. Good, man. Good. Damn, guys, this guy's so disciplined, he's not even paper trading.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't want to mess up my paper account. Can't just go in there and edit the balance, you know.
I sharpen the knife, man.
Yeah. Good. Gotta sharpen the knife in the market before we try to catch it. There we go. Nice drops on ESNQ here. Guys, if this weighted index, which we'll look at the weighted index right here, is making new low a day, VIX is pushing higher, I'm feeling bears want to step in and bring us lower. Oh, gold. Gold hit that target. Beautiful. Amazing. I think I'm just going to be watching those. I'm thinking I'm going to probably take less trades and just wait for those A++ setups. Those, like, gold, crude, above previous day high, nice support level, a nice fib line up, you know, something just simple lines up gives us good A+, right? That's what we want to look for. It's what we want to be patient for. You take more trades, you take more risk. You don't make more money if you take more trades. Remember that. You take more risk when you take more trades. There's that oil drop. Did break previous day low. Did break these pivot lows we were looking for. ESNQ looking pretty bearish. NQ target price level 18,000 even. I'm thinking it wants that in the next 5-10 minutes. Bro, you better have that tattooed on you somewhere. Hey, good morning, Twister. What's going on, my man? Hello and good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Guys, if you're here on YouTube, we go live on YouTube Monday and Friday for the community. We go live Monday through Friday for our Bullish Bears community. You could join at bullishbrs.com. Taking a look at NASDAQ here. Really looking like Nas does want to sell off at this point. There we go. This is the hourly time frame. Remember, we don't have much support. We have our next price level target is around 17,918. 17,800 also. Look at that. I said we're probably going to hit that soon. 50 points on NQ to the downside. We'll see. Equities are selling off right now. Meta new low a day. Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft all new low a day. Amazon new low a day. Only one that's not making a new low a day right now is Apple, but it is finding some selling pressure. I hear the crystal raindrops fall when the market sells my balls. Let's see. That was a nice run on gold, man. Beautiful example of a basic example. We have no supply or demand to go off of, just a fair value gap, an optimal trade entry, and a trend. Here we go, Naz. Wants to melt to that 1800. Fall out the sky. Just the two of us, you and I. Oil trying to hold that 62 level. Gold, nice rejection of that final TP on that new high a day. And again, could continue higher on gold, guys. Could continue higher on gold. Here we go. NASDAQ trying to continue lower. Take a look at our equities down here, also pushing lower too. VIX pushing higher, VIX new high today. Again, all bearish sentiments. Look at this, very bearish right now in the markets. Excuse me, guys. Tune in this Wednesday. Oh no, I was gonna say this Wednesday for Futures Fever. I'll cover how I use the Fibonacci tool and the fair value gap, like the setup we just saw over here. But I have Peter Tuchman and David Green on, so they'll probably sort of be co-running it with me. So I might not have that chance. We'll see. I'll see. You know what? I'll mention it and I'll go through it. And I'll get their opinion and their take on the Fibonacci tool. I'm curious with them. Now, Peter Tuchman, David Green, these guys have been trading for over 40 years. So I want to get their take on the Fibonacci tool. Do they use it? How do they use it? And so on. There's that 1800 level on NASDAQ, guys. 1800 key cycle level. Was it just hit? It was, look at that. It was just tapped. Do we melt through it? Weighted index is still selling off, not pulling back on the weighted index just yet. Which means bye-bye. I'm telling you guys, this melt could bring us another 500 points. At least maybe to 2024 lows. 400 points? It would be wild. It would be wild. It wouldn't be impossible. Just remember that. There's break below that 1800. Love it. Equities are looking weak. Everything's feeling bearish. We got this beautiful swing pivot level on crude that worked as an amazing level of support for the longest of times on the daily time frame for over 157 days. It held as support, and then we broke it, and now it's working as resistance. Amazing trade setup we saw over here on gold. That's wild. Like, that's crazy, man. Very clean, very nice. A lot of Amazon and AMD calls being filled here, but gotta remember, guys, when it comes to things like these tools that we use, flow tools and stuff, just because something seems bullish or it is a very large bullish order doesn't mean that they're not maybe running on another account or somewhere else a bearish play or something to counter that trade, or you don't know if they're taking that trade to hedge something. So don't just assume because you see a large order somewhere that it's definitely going to reverse, right? Maybe use it in correlation with your zones and in response to your levels. But if it's in the middle of nowhere and we're feeling very bearish and there's a random bull move or bull call sweep going in, Does not mean we're reversing. Call sweeps do not reverse the market. There we go. Nas continuing lower, baby. Another 40 points off that 1800 low. Beautiful, guys. What I say? So today I feel like if demand doesn't hold, we're just gonna melt. Melt, melt, melt. Get a super melt. Because remember, guys, when markets sell off strong like this and sell off, they could sell off with a lot of strength and a lot of volatility. Volatility comes with uncertainty and worry, and there's a lot of worry and selling pressure, right? When markets move higher, they take a lot longer, they move a lot slower. When they sell off, these 3 candles alone on NASDAQ is 140, 150 points. Oh, that's a cool one. I'm taking that one. That's a really cool one. Yes, continuing lower. NAS continuing lower. 17,913. Guys, let me know if you took any trades today. What you're trading. If you took any shorts today on ES and NQ. If you took any longs today on gold. Have you guys taken any trades? What's going on? How's your Monday going? Let's see. NQ selling pressure, ES selling pressure. So now on ES, this low volume shelf right here. So like 52.20. Maybe look for a retest of 52.20. Like that area. Let's see if we could find some shorts on ES. Alright guys, let's see. Weighted index, trying to find a little support here, so be a little careful. Oh, there's a big little dump there on the weighted index on that new 5-minute candle. Took the gold trade, but only one contract, so per my rules, I trail on the 9 EMA and it wicked me out and then took off. No! No way! 9 EMA wicked you out? Where's the 9 EMA on this? That's why I don't like moving averages on this type of price action, I suppose. It all depends, guys. It really all depends. We need liberation. We need liberation. Gold's just gonna keep going. I think this is the 9 right here. 9, yep. So yeah, that would have been like if we were on the replay system. Any of these wicks really would have wicked you, right? So if you're waiting for the 9 EMA, you wouldn't have even been able to get these longs. Unless you were able to get these longs down here and target the 9 EMA as first TP. Or wait for it to move above. But yeah, that's tough, man, the EMA. What was your entry? Because I'm trying to think too, the next candle that wicks, I guess all of them really wick and try to hold that moving average. So be careful when using a moving average as a stop loss, because a lot of times when using moving averages, they tend to work as support, right? So we'll wick it and we'll hold it. So what I would do then, instead of looking for us to just stop out as soon as we test it, I would look to see how we close. If we close below the moving average, maybe consider exiting, right? If we continue to close above it, then we could know that, okay, momentum is in our direction, it is in our favor, we could look to continue. Crude oil, let's take a look at oil, guys. Oil just retested this green demand zone. Remember, guys, this morning I said this, what is it, a 45 maybe? 1 hour, 2 hour? Oh, 4 hour. The 4 hour demand zone we had here. I wanted to see us close below it, which we got, and then retest it and see if we could use it as a supply zone. So right now we're retesting that zone on oil. I would look to see if sellers wanted to step in here. Look at all the negative delta up here. So if I was looking for a short on oil, it would be up here. And I'd probably look to see if we can make a new low a day off of this. I'd look to see if sellers want to step back in first. I'm going to get rid of this big position because we're not obviously in that. But if oil does want to continue lower, I don't really have... Do we have any good demand zones down here? Just running through the time frames right now, guys. I don't see much. Don't see much. Possibly what I'll do is I'll mark this out. Right here's a nice little 45-minute demand zone. And that would be targeting 61.57 to the downside if we continued lower. So what is this? D45, demand 45. But right now, look at this. Buyers came in pretty strong here. Volume didn't really pick up too hefty here. I'd look to see if we could reject. If this candle starts to reject and volume picks up with the rejection, that could be giving us a nice short position. If it doesn't pick up to any rejection, we are not looking for any shorts. I'd possibly be watching the 15-minute here to see. Entered 34.20, got wicked out at 34.28.50. Okay, so you wicked out in some... Ooh, look at gold, man. Another all-time high. Love to see it, man. Beautiful. Cold gold. Red gold like a book today. I love that. Entered the 34.20. Oh, perfect. So, you got the fair value gap area entry. Perfect. Got wicked out 28.5. So, right over here. Yep, so right on this wick over here. Okay. So yeah, again, got to be extra careful when it comes to using moving averages and the wicks and the candles, right? Use the basics of our just, candlestick and price action, right? Higher highs, higher lows, supply, demand, support, and resistance, and then try to find our stop loss. Be careful with the trailing stop loss too, because again, those wicks will stop people out, right? We see that we wicked this 9 EMA 1, 2, 3 times. And each time it wicked it, it broke higher afterwards. It wicked it, it broke higher. It wicked it, it broke higher. Wow, gold just beautiful right now. Really amazing. Oil trying to hold here too. Today was a great example session, a great education session, right? Finding trends and whatnot. Whoa, I'm not dragging that. Gold, great trend. Oil, whole lot of nothing, therefore we take nothing. And ESNQ, we knew that NASDAQ was a bit weaker because it was breaking below that demand zone. ES was more struggling than anything. This was about a 30-point move on ES, where it was a over 150, 160-point move on NQ. I think gold wants 34.50 today. This is wild, man. I'm making a video later about gold's all-time highs. I know that for sure. Oil popping away. Throw it away. Let's see. This was
Did have
oil.
a scalp bounce on NQ.
Nice. Just got an alert on crude. Breaking. Look at that. Broke that high that we wanted it to break like 40 minutes ago. but now it's no longer relative at the moment. 30-minute, 45, 90, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4. I don't see any demand zones forming to support this move higher on crude, which tells me there's a better chance this is a fake out. Be possibly looking for this blue zone, this fair value gap on the 15-minute. This is an imbalance to work as an area of resistance. You go gold. Let's see. Just doing a little time frame analysis on gold. Look at all these green candles. Just a lot of continuation, a lot of trend on gold here. We had our 90-minute demand that formed. Wow, gold just keep going, baby. That is amazing. Love to see it, guys. Whoa. Gold said, wait a minute.
Well, overbought or not, gold is still pumping. You're right about that.
Yep. Bro, I told you, we gotta follow that trend. Follow that trend. Like, follow that car. You get in a taxi, like in the movies. Follow that car. With gold, you gotta follow that trend. Gold, oil, they love following their trends when you get a nice, clean direction like that. Amazing. ESNQ still sort of range bound right now, but if we're looking at that 5-minute, very directional to the downside. Now remember, guys, downside target, I wanted to see NASDAQ hit 17,913. Massive pullback on gold here, but check it out. We had these major levels of resistance that we broke, so let's see if those now want to hold as support on gold. Now, I'm not taking this trade, but I'm just curious as to how we want to hold it, if we want to hold it, and where we want to hold it, and when we want to hold it. CVD climbing higher on gold, beautiful. ESNQ choppy. But if you look at those 30-minute candles, last 30-minute candle was very bearish on ES and NQ. Always important to follow direction and do your time frame breakdown as well. Okay, crude. Let's see. Rejecting that pivot high right here. It did not hit my blue zone I had around 62.65. So we'll be a little patient on that. What's up, Nathan? Oh, I don't think he's in here. I can't tell. Oh, short and profit. Oh, okay. Beautiful gold. ESNQ breaking new low a day again. VIX new high a day. Weighted index looks like it's trying to dump. Guys, here's the equities that we're looking at, right? We had Microsoft sort of near some lows, Meta, Tesla. Guys, look at this. Tesla now broke that demand zone that I was looking at. So I would probably maybe look to see if Tesla wanted to retest this demand zone. Look at that. The VWAP also lines up in that demand. So if I was looking for shorts on Tesla or puts on Tesla, I'd probably look around the 228, 229 area near VWAP in this 1 hour demand and see if we want to test that and target like 220. An $8 move on Tesla would be pretty nice. There's that key level target on NASDAQ. Love to see it, 17,913. Now remember guys, this was also near a major pivot. And when we have major pivots, there's usually traders trying to take that breakout. So when we're at those major pivots, I'm going to mark this one out, we don't want to take that breakout. We want to be targeting it. We want to already be in our trade beforehand. Because at this point, when you try to take that breakout lower, a lot of volume starts to step in and we could start to see a reversal. This might actually be our bottom, depending on market structure and if we do want to continue higher, if buyers want to step in. If we continue lower, like I mentioned pre-market, and we dump right through, we still have a ways to go before our next level of support, 300 to 400 points. Which could be massive. There's that break lower again. Yeah, guys, I don't know, man. We could also check our equities and look at change percentage. And look at all of the equities down 2%, 2%, 2%, 3%, 3%, 5%, 6%. All equities are so red except in Netflix. So very bearish momentum right now. YouTube guys, make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe. We go live on YouTube Monday and Friday. And we go live for our community Monday through Friday. Join at Bullishbrs.com. If you become a next level member, you do get access to my Futures Masterclass, which is phenomenal in my opinion. But what do I know? I just made it.
Third-party comment. I would agree with that.
Thank you. Thank you. They got a lot of good feedback on it, so I do think it's pretty well put together. I'm not just saying that. 20 seconds left in this 5 minute. Let's take a look at the footprint chart on NASDAQ here. Point of control is lower still. And volume is heavy down here too. So careful, careful, and careful. I don't think this is our bottom. We'll have to be patient though. We have 15-minute closes in 10 minutes. If anything, on days like this, I'd be waiting for 15-minute candles to close and mark it out and try to see if I could get in while the 15's pushing green and look for us to continue lower, right? And that's another good way to have our time frame analysis sort of line up with our entry analysis. Big oil hold right there. Gold did hold that price level that was a resistance and now a support, which is pretty cool. Bro, I'm exhausted. There's some selling pressure. I feel like we just continue lower here, guys. Tesla pushing lower. Meta had a pretty strong pullback on the 5. But we'll have to see. Look at all this selling on Bookmap. We watched NASDAQ go from 18,100 to 1,800 to 17,900 to now, yeah, 17,900. See if it wants to keep dumping. 17,800 next target. Remember pre-market plan, guys. I had tons of targets to the downside. I did not have that much support. below us on NASDAQ, so it's really looking for us to drop like another 300 points. Buy some QQQ puts. Get a nice little 300% ROI on that. That's funny. I hate when a boat falls on my car. I've heard of raining cats and dogs, but this is ridiculous. Alright, what else? Markets are still making their way lower. Trying at least. This 1800 level is pretty strong on NAS for potential retest for a target, but I don't think we pull back 90 points to continue lower. We could. We do have a fair value gap there. And we could check to see. We have low volume up there too. Yep, we have low volume up there. So this would be an ideal spot for a short entry. Okay, gold hit VWAP and that price level one more time. But gold does have some resistance above head now too. Look at this, guys. NAS continuing lower. Keep moving this by accident. Oh, wow. Gold, big sell-off. I said resistance above us now. And big sell-off there. NAS trying to push lower. I just realized NASDAQ, I don't have the session volume delta. So guys, how I add the session volume delta, right now it gives you COB, which is the current order book, and that just shows you passive orders, right? So that's sort of like the depth of market, and that shows you what the heat map is telling you. So if this was a passive order sitting here at sellers, it would tell you there were a lot of sellers sitting here. So what you're going to do is you're going to right click on one of these, and you're going to do configure column, and you're going to click add. Then from there, I'm going to call it SVD, because it's going to be session volume delta. And I'm going to do session range volume profile. Now, it's just going to give me the same session range volume profile, but this time I'm going to click the delta on. And what that does is look at the difference it makes. Now I could see all this negative delta here, right? All of these aggressive sellers. Now, what I also want to do in my session volume profile is I want to activate the point of control. And VWAP. There we go. All the aggressive negative deltas pushing us lower on NQ. Damn, gold. NAS on a little bit of a pullback here, guys. Remember, I wouldn't really go short at lows. I'd really wait for pullbacks, and that 1800 level was looking alright. Look at that. That's a big negative seller around that 1800. Negative 350, and we have low volume there, too. And, of course, a fair value gap. So we got a few things lining up in that zone around 1800 on NASDAQ.
We had a nice liquidity grab right there on the NASDAQ. Below the low of 3 days ago, 4 days ago, whatever that was. The 10th? That was a few days ago, so. And a nice doji indecision was made.
Nice. Yeah, we're at this. This is the 17913 was a major key level I had on NQ. We failed to close below it on the 5. We're still breaking lower though, so we are still in a bear trend at the moment. But obviously buyers are trying to stall us out. We're starting to range bound a little bit. Sellers have lost that momentum. Let's see. Damn, gold just freaking amazing. Where's my VWAP? I want VWAP up. Also, what's this one? And why don't I see it? It's just not up there. Okay. No, VWAP's way down there on gold. That's really funny. Visibility, I always want to make sure my visibility is only available on the 5-minute for VWAP, because I don't want to see it on the 15. If I'm doing my analysis, I don't really want to see VWAP on the 15. I don't really care about it on the 15. I only care about it when we're like day trading. And that's when I'm checking on the 5 a lot more. When I'm on the 15 and higher, that's when I'm doing my analysis. Same thing here. Crude, where's VWAP? Do backslash VWAP. And then settings, keep it all on off. Go to minutes. And then as long as it's under anything under 15, because I don't use a 14-minute time frame. I'm going to do save as default, hit OK, and there we go. Look at that, crude oil rejected VWAP was real nice on that price level right there. ES and NQ again still in bearish territory. It is 10:30. Markets are boring and snoring. See if sellers want to continue us here. Bitcoin still rising at highs. Oh, Bitcoin at 88,000. That's pretty clean. MSTR rising, of course, in correlation, reaction to Bitcoin rising. That's good. Take a quick look at that. Look at MSTR right now. Very bullish. Imbalance right here. Let's see if we can see our footprint on MSTR. I haven't checked footprint on equities before. It's pretty cool. Where's our delta? There it is. Positive deltas. Wow, look at the volume and the positive delta. Positive 24,000 delta on this, on MSTR on the last 5-minute candle. And now we're continuing higher. Nice, that's awesome. Good morning, guys. Hope you guys are all doing well. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a fantastic Easter and weekend. If you don't celebrate Easter, I hope you had a good weekend. If you don't celebrate the weekend, I hope you had a good Easter. Don't forget, guys, join me Wednesday for my show Futures Fever on Benzinga, hosted by me, featuring Peter Tuchman, the Einstein of Wall Street, and David Green, some veterans in the trading world. You could ask them any questions. You guys come into the comments, ask them any questions you might have. We'll go over some trade setups. I'll go over my gold setup that we saw today and how we spotted the potential entry, along with gold to confirm it. I might not be able to get the gold confirmation, the bookmap confirmation on the trade review unless I pull up the whole replay system and all that, so I might not be able to get that. I wish I took a screenshot at that point. That would have been a better idea. Magnet. Let's see. Nas trying to continue lower. Weighted index also moving lower. Microsoft trying to Meta trying to drop. Microsoft, Apple, Amazon all trying to move lower right now. We got to be careful. We don't want to short the lows right here. Looks like it's trying to squeeze, so be careful. Take a look at the 15-minute time frame, guys. Let's see how the 15-minute looks. So we did close on the 15, still bearish, so I would still be looking for continuation. I think we get continuation. I'm not taking any trades right here, guys. I think is not a trade setup. Metricool. Sorry about that, guys. And are feelings a trade setup? Yeah. Feelings are not a trade setup. We gotta think thoughtful. Thoughtful trades. Not emotional trades. I'm happy. Today I'm gonna go long.
Well, if you pick the right ticker, not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you pick gold and when you're happy and gold is trending higher, that'll definitely give you a good trend. Oil,
Buy
same deal.
MSTU, guys. I'm telling you, buy MSTU.
MSTU? MSPU.
Yeah, I have this morning I've added to my NVDX. I've added to my TSLL. As
What's
the things
MSTU?
are dropping, I'm adding to those leverage ETFs.
Oh, MST. Oh, I was gonna say MSTU sounds like a 2x of MSTR, and that's of course exactly what
Yeah,
it
they're
is.
all
Yeah, it is.
leveraged wheel trades.
Isn't that the one?
I just took it.
Isn't T-Rex ETFs? Isn't that Tuttle?
Yeah, he's a partner with it. I don't know that he is T-Rex, but he's usually the manager of a lot of those.
Gotcha.
I think, maybe. But just remember, Kevin, if you're happy and you know it, buy some gold. If you're happy and you know it, buy some gold.
Look at that. While everything is dropping on the Nasdaq and losing money, MSTR is going up because it's based on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is getting into its next cycle, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
It's almost like, Tesla back in the day, a little bit, we could probably run them against each other right now. But Tesla, a lot of times when, we were in a bear market or a pullback type of situation, Tesla would always go inverse. And that would sort of be the joke that Tesla could go up while the rest of the market goes down. Now, Tesla trades a lot more with the NASDAQ. MSTR is the one that seems to be the one that's going inverse. Look at this.
Now,
Look at this. Perfect right here, actually. Check this out, guys. Other than obviously this big green day when he announced the pause on tariffs and everything was bullish, MSTR continued higher since then. The rest of the market, we've been continuing lower. We've been trying to move back lower. MSTR looks pretty good. Possible target 343 to the upside for short-term longs. But if we could break that, what is that? What'd I just say? 343, I'd say maybe watch 345. We could possibly soar to 400. I'm thinking MSTR with Bitcoin strength could soar to 400.
So the media is all over saying, stay away from Tesla, stay away from Tesla. Now look at the Tesla chart. Just bring up the weekly.
All right, give me
And then
a sec.
And then take a look at when the media was saying, stay away from Netflix. Netflix had a very similar TRB kind of pattern, right? It went up really high, dropped quite a lot. At $100, the media is saying, stay away from Netflix. They're losing subscribers. They're, missing blah, blah, blah numbers. and all of this other stuff, and look at Netflix at $1,000.
Yep.
Could it happen again to Tesla, where the media is saying stay away from it, while the big boys are filling in their pockets? That's why I'm going a lot into TSLL. It's another leverage ETF on it, and it's trading at $6 and some change today. I'm waiting for a fill at 661, but I don't think I'm gonna get that.
Alright.
Not financial advice, but if you don't want to play with options and lose some money, you know, there's leverage ETF things, at least you can hold on to them.
If you ain't got no money, take your broke ass home. GL.
Oh man, did we miss the reversal on
65,
MQ right there?
Perfect. Alright, let's see.
Oh no, buddy, I caught that on the Paperboy account.
Ugh. I got a nice paper cut pre-market, so I'm kind of like,
You're kind of
you
shook
know.
right now.
Yeah. Well, we
Paper's
had
got you shook.
pre-market like really early. We had a very big, solid momentum candle, and I'm like, oh, this thing is gonna go down. So I went in, and $300 later, I cut my losses, and I said, okay, I'm just gonna sit on it. I'm trying to keep my losses to a bare minimum, you know.
Good.
Um,
Losses should be small, winners should be big.
Yeah, and I figured, man, it's like Mondays for me, especially in the mornings, I'm busy putting agendas and things for the remaining of the week for my teams, and it's like I can't really trade, you know?
Yep. Yeah, no, if you can't give
Yeah.
the market full focus, don't try to force it, you know? But that's great too, because market's not going anywhere. Give yourself the time that you can trade to fully give yourself the 100%, and know that when you can't give it 100%, you're not even thinking about it. That's what
Hey,
What's that?
no, so I was chatting with Sig last night. So I did launch my bot thing on YouTube last night. I let it run the whole night um, with a very tight strategy playing. I'm gonna start streaming that. I talked to Sig. He says it's okay if I drop a link for all of you guys want to see it. I have to go back and do some OBS setting because it's not showing the whole screen, but it's gonna be there soon. I think I shared with some of you all.
Check out
the
Naz is
chat.
making its way up to that 1800 level I was looking at for a retest. Where is it? It's not oh, there it is. Crude oil range bound, gold pulled back. Pretty strong. OUS, grind first class. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Getting some lag. Long's looking stronger now, says Pedro. We'll see.
If up, I got nothing till 850. 18,050. If
Yeah.
up.
I got this low volume range from like it's like the 1800. I had that key level and we had a strong negative delta right there. And then the negative range goes up to like where you got the 1850. I'd
It's not
probably
my favorite when it does that, just because it broke this key level for me. I'd rather a pullback 1930s, but you don't always get it. Sometimes it just runs, right?
Yeah, I'm liking over here on NASDAQ, if we're looking at the footprint chart, we had a lot of good volume moving us lower over here, and then there's just this one volume shelf that only has 800 volume, and above it there's 1800 volume, below it there's 1400 volume, so I'm thinking if this is a little bit of an imbalance, a low volume shelf here, if we could possibly hold around that 1820, 1830, and use 1845, 1850 as a stop loss. but we're gonna have to see. Let's see. Delta started pushing positive for these candles. Point of control's moving higher as well.
Let's go up or down.
What's that?
I
Yeah,
said
it's
let's
gotta-
go up or down.
Yeah, it's got to go up or down.
That's my
All right,
favorite. If
ES
it goes
has
up or down.
ES has entered a volume node here around 5212. So expect a little chop for a few moments.
And then it's got to go up or it's got to go down.
Yep.
Well, RSI long term says we're still bullish for a few moments.
On NASDAQ?
Well, but no, ES on the 5-minute, we are setting a kind of a bullish trend on the 5-minute RSI, but you never know.
Marzit, you been using the RSI lately?
Have I been what?
You've been using the RSI lately? You've been mentioning it a lot lately. Is that something new in your trading?
Well, I've been using it mostly on my daily kind of stuff, and I'm looking for trends in the RSI, and I'm seeing there seems to be some correlation, but there's still volatility. When you see higher highs in the RSI,
Yeah.
when I'm actually using the RSI as a trend indicator, and that's not the sole thing. I mean, obviously, you still have to look at the chart itself to make sure the chart makes sense. Price action always dominates, but RSI kind of gives you an idea, and it's
Hey,
not a bad little crutch.
Marziti, I've been looking at the Williams percent R and correlating it with the RSI. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know the Williams, but
I've been looking at the alligator with the 5, an 8, and a 13 on the EMA,
There's
and then the
trading
VWAP
alligator.
along with the Williams R.
Coming into a good trade here, guys, if it's going to meet criteria. I was saying if we pull back to the 1830s. So 1830 to 1825. If hold, then it could be a good trade. If not, continuation, obviously, to the downside. It's just tricking everyone. But this would be a valid trade.
All right, ES has come down to another volume node. One of the things that you'll find about a lot of these indicators, like the CCI, the RSI, the this, the that, is that if you put them all on the chart at the same time, they'll all look almost identical. Some of them may move earlier, some of them may move later, but most of them a lot of times will have the same patterns. But remember, when you trade, unless you're doing just a pure price action scalp, you're trying to build a narrative. You're trying to build a story for why your trade idea makes sense. So, can you have an RSI? Sure. Can you have a Bollinger Band? I mean, I use VWAP and I use the standard deviations of VWAP because I see a lot of correlations with that. So yeah, I do use some indicators. I use the VWAP, I use its standard deviations, I'll use maybe some RSI, but I got to look at the chart first to see if there's anything making sense here. Like right now, we're seeing that on the 1 minute, ES just came out of a overbought situation. But the 5 minute is still bullish. So you say, no, wait a minute, then what does this narrative tell me? Well, it tells me pullback. And if I go look at the chart, I can say, aha, I see that. I see that, and it helps me refine entries and exits. But again, it's a narrative you're trying to build unless you're a scalper, that's different. But you can build your narrative a variety of ways. Kevin builds his with supply and demand. And then he looks at the chart. And then he looks for his order blocks, his breaker blocks, fair value gaps, general market sentiment, stuff like that. And he builds a narrative and he trades based on that. Other people that are just pure scalpers are just going to look straight at the chart and they're just going to take it pure off the chart. And that's fine too. All depends on how you want to trade.
Yep.
Yeah, if this doesn't hold, it becomes a breaker block to as low as 25. So I haven't done anything yet, but if it holds.
I'm also looking at ES on the 5-minute about a pattern that's called the 180. And that was the 1035 candle finished green, very high green. The 1040 candle finished very low red. That tells you that's called a 180, a flip. And so that's a very strong bearish signal.
Crude oil is still very range bound. We see gold has been pulling back since those new highs that were made. We see the resistance that formed up there as well. Remember I mentioned that I wouldn't take these longs on gold anymore because we formed new resistance. And since we formed that, we came back into it one more time and rejected it like a wall. We didn't even push into it. We hit it like a wall and bounced right off. ES and NQ. Take a look at the footprint. So look at this, guys. Point of control is up here on this last 5-minute candle, but we had a red candle. So I'd want to see if we can move into this fair value gap, guys. 1800. I wanted 1800 for a potential short on NQ. Bears do look like they want to take that for continuation. Ooh, looking at the 15-minute time frame, it does look like we might be creating a 15-minute supply zone here, which would call for this to be a basing, this 15 to continue lower, and the next 15 and the following to also continue, which again, guys, could bring us much lower to that 17,576 even. I'd keep an eye on equities, make sure equities are also pushing lower. VIX is pushing higher. I want to see VIX at a new high of day, and I want to see equities at new low of days, right? I want to see Meta break lower, Tesla's pushing lower right now, Nvidia's pushing lower, Apple's near new low of day right now. Same with Microsoft trying to push lower too.
ES has stuck a toe south of its initial balance. My first target short here is going to be 51.92. I actually was short on this back from 97.
Nice.
But that'll be a half measured move of those 2 5-minute candles.
Exhausted Trader said he caught that scalp long. Nice call, random. Nice, nice. Careful on them longs down here. Careful on the shorts down here. Everything's very choppy at the moment. At these lows, looking like we want to break lower, but also don't want to short the lows. But again, I personally feel like we want to continue lower. Nas does not have much support under us unless we start basing.
Right. It could be a breaker block here, right? Like the 25 to 35. Like I was waiting for it.
Yep.
So if it doesn't hold, if it closes a candle here, comes back up, it could be a breaker block.
Yep. I was also looking
to lower, like you're saying.
Yep, exactly. I was also looking for the 15-minute candle right here on NASDAQ. Now, ES didn't create a green basing on the 15. NASDAQ did. Usually I want them to create that candle together. They didn't. That's okay. Still recognizing the price action and the patterns. So if I was looking for continuation off of this 15-minute basing on NASDAQ, I'd really be looking for us, again, guys, to continue much lower. We could check the 3-hour, see if we have any support down here, but we really don't. The only support we have is the key level we're at right now, which is 17,900. If we can maybe break below 1840, again, if I'm looking for another 400-point drop here on NASDAQ, I'm not going to be freaking out over missing 50 points. We never want to try to catch the full move anyways, right? We won't just want a piece. We want to be able to be reasonable with the market.
Lower probability, but full measured move on ES will be down to 51.86.
Oh, we got it. 5186. It's only 5 points away.
Yeah, I know it's a small measured move, but we're stalling right here at the 50%. We're stalling at a half measured move. So if we go, but we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that also. I didn't see Bookmap has a really strong level, 5190. So if we break 5190, though, we will go see 5180. Look at point of control has been moving. I'm sorry, the CVD has been moving higher while price has been moving lower. Here we go. Here's a squeeze.
So south targets on the ES 5186, and then currently the VWAP extension 5182. But that's moving, so that's not a fixed number.
Look at this major passive buyer. Let's see them step in here. The bid's getting filled.
I should have stayed live.
What's that?
I shouldn't have switched to paper.
Yeah, we've been getting some clean.
What? I've got my gains locked in. And that's
nice. We've been getting some clean price action the past week or so. As much of an uncertainty we're still trading in, price action has sort of smoothened out a little bit. I think, and my opinion, it's because of the pullback we had, this big pullback, right? Markets need a pullback so we could start to continue lower. We can't just keep selling and selling and selling and selling, or buying and buying and buying. Markets need pullbacks. That's a crazy pullback on gold, man.
Gold is still inside its first hour initial balance. The VIX is above its first hour initial balance, which makes sense that ES is below. Crude is inside the initial balance.
There we go. Finding some support at 5190, guys. 5190 on ES. On Bookmap, at least we saw that there was a passive buyer down there. When's Tesla's earnings? Did it have earnings already? I think it had earnings. No, it didn't have earnings. When's Tesla's earnings? Tuesday, 22nd.
Oh.
Aftermarket. I'll reach out to Benzinga and see if I could host the earnings for Tesla. And we'll do some technical analysis beforehand, find some price targets and setups. Nas trying to find some support down here. Remember, guys, we're at this key level, so unless we could break it and maybe close like 30, 40 points below it, which 30, 40 points is not that much right now, just wait. No reason to jump into anything. No reason to rush into anything. Once you start feeling the need to be in a trade, the need to rush into something, the need to, I gotta make money, that's when you're not going to be thinking clearly. You're not going to be reading the charts as clearly as they're showing. And you're going to force things that aren't really there. I wonder what else has earnings this week. Tesla's got earnings Tuesday.
Yeah, that'll be the second most highly watched event of earnings. NVIDIA's always the first lately.
Where's NVIDIA at? When's NVIDIA's earnings?
Oh,
I thought
let me look.
No, it didn't have
It
earnings.
already happened.
Did it already happen? I thought it already happened. It's
Yeah.
not showing me on my chart.
Yeah, Nvidia's already happened.
I thought it happened yesterday, or... Yeah, no, not yesterday. When?
No, 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Wasn't it a train wreck?
It didn't matter anything because they got hit with that China $5 billion blah 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 whatever. So it's been tanking, which is okay, you know.
NVIDIA had earnings January 25th. No, it did not have earnings recent enough. Earnings season sort of just picked back up. Their next earnings is May 28th.
Yeah, for Q2, right? For Q1.
Yeah.
Q1 earnings and reporting Q2. Yeah. Did we double bottom here?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Nvidia, even before it happened, I was saying this before, but it's only worth $76 if you go against the Mag 7. So if you just ask Rock to, what their valuation is traditionally, and then over the last 5 years, and then correlate that, it was 76. And funny enough, I went on Bazinga with that information and live when Kevin was trading. Remember, I was like, give me 90 bucks, whatever.
Yeah.
And it basically, and it was like the top when I said it. But it was based on Grok and what was the other one? Tesla's 128. So
Yep.
people are freaking out, but it's like, these are stocks at a discount right now, like as they go down, right?
Yeah. It's a blessing when stocks go down like this to have that opportunity to buy at these levels. We didn't have that opportunity for years now on some of these stocks.
No.
This is when Warren Buffett says too, this is when generational wealth can be formed during recessions, during corrections. Nvidia hasn't been below this $100 mark since, let's see, August 2024. 6 months ago? So now we're finally below it and people are freaking out? No way. We're below it. That should be the best time to start buying. Right now, Nvidia at $96 a share. Let's say at some point we're going to find our way back higher, right? Markets notoriously reverse. They always have. So if we're going to reverse back higher at some point from this entry, that's a 59% return on investment. Now, of course, it's going to depend on what your risk is. Right now, if you risked it to the low, it'd be a 9% risk. But
Hey Kevin, look at NVDX.
Yeah, my whole point is, guys, now is not the time to sell. Now is the time for long-term acquisitions, long-term holdings. You said NVDX, is that just going to be the same chart? Of course it is, because it's just the 2x of NVIDIA.
NVDX is the leverage for it.
Yeah.
So
if you want to buy, if you want to purchase NVIDIA.
Some more with the intention that when NVIDIA does pile back up, and then again, you keep it for this thing's for a long time, right? It's not like you're playing options on it. So.
Yeah, no, this is a good play. I like that NVDX because that gives you a better return on investment too.
Yep, I mean you can get 1,000 shares for $5 right now, $5 and some change. If it makes back up to 22, look at the profit amount.
No, I know. Yeah, if you're risking, let's say you get in around this 573, you have a hard stop loss at, even if you have a stop loss at like 352, and you're risking maybe $2,000 on this trade, $2,000 on that trade to make possibly, I don't even know, man. I should have used the measurement tool. Let's see.
Yeah, change your measuring tool just so you.
Oh yeah.
I got that one. The what I was talking about, how it come back in, it closed above, right back in the pocket. So I got a few scalps off that.
Nice, guys. You'd be risking $2,000 on that trade to make almost $6,000. 3-to-1 on that. Oh, way more than 3-to-1. Wait a minute. $2,000. Oh wait, no. To make 158 grand. No. Am I reading this wrong? I'm so stupid right now. 15 grand. 15 grand. Risking $2,000 to make 15 grand. It's an almost 8-to-1 risk to reward. That is a phenomenal And again, a long-term trade, you would not enter here, and it wouldn't go to your take profit in a day. This would be a long-term hold. But still, very great, very great. That's awesome. That's cool, man. Thank you for bringing that up, Ironclad.
The same thing. So if you look at, it's becoming very popular, like AAPU for Apple instead of just buying Apple.
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't have, because things are so expensive, if you don't have the money to buy those, you get into the leverage ETFs.
Yup.
Yeah, but what happens when they crash, man? Like,
Yeah,
doesn't
right. You
it's
got more
3x.
risk. Right, you got more
So
risk.
You add more.
you can't you can't because right, because it has to rebalance, you know, every month or every quarter or something. So if it really corrects, you know, 15-20%, then that's really 60% or whatever, isn't it?
NVDX.
I mean, I don't know, but they like SPY and all that, they're always rebalancing, right?
Right. That's right.
So when you're down 60%, let's say, and they go into a rebalance, and then so they add shares, it just becomes, it just like kind of buries you, right?
Dilutes quite a bit. Yeah.
My buddy buys them, but he's like on a weekly basis, and I don't know, he knows way more, but he's just really aware of the rebalancing because that could really hurt you.
Yeah, I'm kind of just, day trading them or swing trading it, right? The only thing that I'm not is MSTU. MSTU I've been adding and haven't taken any profit on it because it's the Bitcoin thing, and it's like every day it's up.
Alright. Market's choppy. No fun. 11:04, guys. Markets gave us that bear run in the morning. Since then, sort of been chopping. Gave us a beautiful long position on gold. I did not take. I know that some people took it. I know at least Exhausted Trader banked about 8+ points on that. Amazing. Yeah, good stuff today, guys. Not bad, not bad. Good, again, good educational day where it was pretty constant, right? We were constantly going over something. We were looking at potential setups. We were looking at zones, going over bookmap, going over price levels, going over setups. Really great stuff today, guys. I'm going to wrap up the stream there. Any questions, please feel free to shoot me a message. Follow me on Instagram, kevin.futures. And yeah, appreciate you all for always tuning in. Hope you guys were able to learn something today. Remember, guys, every day isn't just about earning. Every day is about learning. Whether you have 1 week in trading or 10 years in trading, every day we're here to learn how the markets are developing and how the markets are moving so we could adapt to current market conditions. So YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. Make sure you join our community at bullishbrs.com. We are currently running, I think, a 50% sale for the lifetime members because of Easter. So check that out. Take care, and I'm see you guys tomorrow.